episode 135. So we are back with a wonderful topic again. AI search needs C-suite buy-in. Definitely yes, but how to go about it? And that's where my first question kind of comes up with: why do most of those AI strategies never make it past the PowerPoint deck? Your agencies, your teams will have something up their sleeve, they'll show you, but then beyond that, how to get it activated? But
Yeah, I'll kind of try to kickstart, and then Vijay, if you want to add. I think so. We as SEO practitioners, we have been used to like looking at a lot of data and then building strategies, whether it was traditional SEO and now it's AI search. So building a strategy but forgetting to build a case for the humans holding the budget is is where the bottleneck is. So at the end of the day, there's a human on the other side who is going to kind of understand and approve the budget in most of the cases. So uh, it is important for an SEO practitioner to kind of go ahead and build that case, which can be directly incorporated to overall growth plan, which has direct revenue implications, and there's a clear path forward for the growth that we have we are kind of trying to project it through our AI sort strategy. But yeah, we have Vijay and Isha on the panel. Would love to know your thoughts as well.
Lisa, go ahead. I'm in the middle of something.
Okay. Um, I mean, see, Malhar, maybe I would speak more practical. I would say that, and we all know that we all SEO practitioners from past 6 and 7 months are actually figuring it out. So if we are presenting something to the C-suite, or if we are talking about a document, or if we are even creating something, we need some data to back it. We need some case studies which can prove those things which we didn't had, like which is something which we are creating from past 6 months to 1 year. So I feel that so far things were not happening because people were figuring it out, and now since a lot of people have figured out, some are still in the phase of figuring it out. Things would be very different from here onwards.
no, definitely I agree in a part to it. But what I also feel, and this is again a question that kind of goes to each one of you in terms of, as an industry, are we spending too much time in optimizing versus not spending enough time to convince some of the folks? Or are we looking at it in terms of, okay, this is a benchmark which is already set or being set, and brands will somehow come and ask for those services? Are we waiting for the opportunity and trying to convince, or are we again, because that's what I feel at some point, uh, there are few folks still playing the waiting game.
I might not agree with what you just said, uh, because I mean, from the since I am from the agency side, I feel like it's the other way around. We are spending more time in convincing the people rather than spending time in the optimization uh, thing. So I would not completely, and that was something which is happening not now. It is something which we are doing it from past almost 2 decades now. Uh, yes, I would say that in our convincing things, we have not explicitly talked about AI because we ourselves was not very confident on, and because we didn't had good data to back it about, so that's why we didn't incorporated it. But since the AI data start reflecting in the reports, now we have data to present to it. This is slowly and steadily becoming part of the conversation. So I would say I would say it's not like I wouldn't say completely. I wouldn't completely agree with you that we are still waiting. I would say that still people are convincing. I am not very sure about the brand side. I would say again, even in the brand side, the clients which I handle or the people whom I am linked to, mostly they also face the challenge of convincing there, because I think the marketer who is sitting there, their majority of job is to convince their heads more than just showing the task. So everyone is sailing that boat.
Fair. Parth?
Okay, so I wanted to add a specific add-on thought here. So SEO has always been all about capturing the demand out there, or if it's a very odd industry, very niche industry, going out there and creating the demand, and that was all possible through the only brand asset that is your website and the content, textual content that you publish on your website. But since there are uh, other platforms also involved now. It's been a decade: YouTube, Reddit, Quora, and whatnot, Pinterest, and whatnot. So now let's think about the surface. There are multiple search surfaces now, AI search surfaces to be specific. And now we think about capturing the demand there, or increasing the demand. It's all about the changes the changes in adoption of those AI search platforms. Like everyone started to chat. Now it's not about capturing the existing demand, or it's not about creating more demand. It is platform agnostic, because if we think about it, if there is a cross. So I I don't recall any particular examples, but while I used to search something like 3 years ago on ChatGPT, um, and now because I have a whole workflow built, I don't think so those queries or those prompts I would ever kind of put on a normal chat surface. That's happening only because there is a cross functional this thing built on my particular SEO workflows and systems that I'm building. So thinking about that, the uh, I would say the demand that's going to increase is going to be four, 5 dimensional, and the more creative you can be for your AI search strategy, and at the same time, if you are able to attach it to the right uh, demand numbers along with the business revenue that you are going to get out of it, that's going to be a differentiating factor. And earlier it was all about the playbook, but now it's more about how creative you are in your strategy with respect to capturing the demand that's already out there, and the new um, features and the behavioral changes that these AI platforms are going to kind of put like forward for all our target audiences that we are working for. Very deep, and I think so, little off grid thoughts, but yeah, let me know what do you folks think.
Beyond that, see, I was also, and again going back to what Isha was saying, that yes, there is some bit of interest already. But if I go on the other side and say, what is the biggest blocker probably you have faced when you're pitching an AI search strategy? Is it lack of confidence, or uh, again, what is that?
I think if it specifically talk about C-suite, the biggest blocker is that how do you attribute uh, revenue to AI space? I mean, right now there is so much of search happening, but attribution model is one of the biggest blocker at this point of time.
Absolutely. I think so. We first need to understand what are the metrics that the leadership that we are going to pitch they care about. And it's not about the strategy, it's not about the idea, it's kind of the inability to connect the outcomes of that AS or strategies to the metrics that leadership cares about. I think so that matters the most. Obviously, it is in it is related to some form of revenue, but it could be SQLs, MQLs for some leadership. Is it could be some other things. So you know the nows of your own leadership, and based on that, you have to be smart enough to pitch. Um, at the end of the day, uh, if you are passionate and delusional about your growth strategy that you want to achieve in next couple of quarters, you have to understand those metrics that your leadership care about.
No, that's a fantastic point, right? So, but again, let's go presume that some of the C-suite understand the technical bits also. So, is that also coming out as a blocker that for you to convince them and say, okay, this is technically possible or technically not possible? Because both sides of the spectrum may exist. How is that getting managed?
That's a very good one, and yeah. So there are two sides of it. A SEO SEO has always been an ever evolving, always like there are a lot of updates coming up, and with AI search into the game, uh, the updates are more frequent now. Because of AI, you can build an MVP, you can vibe code something, you can run a pilot project. The best way to get leadership buy-in, I got to know this from Krinal Mehta and Mihir Nayak, credit where due. Um, mm, so you go ahead and run an MVP, run a pilot project, and show an early success to your leadership, and then there are no questions asked. You get more approvals along the way. This is one side of the story. The other side is you go ahead and explain the technicalities of AI search, what's happening, what's the update, and there's nothing bad about it. There's nothing wrong about it. But if you do it once, you might have to keep on doing it again and again and again to your leadership, and that's quite exhausting. You might not want to go that route, considering you want to focus on your work, you want to focus on your strategy. Rather, now with AI you can build your MVPs, you can run a pilot, you can show early growths, and then go ahead, hey, i'm I'm going to present you a strategy which is going to be a bigger version of what I kind of tried to achieve in last 1 month or last quarter. And here are the metrics that matters to you. Here is the dashboard. Let's kind of have a monthly this thing, and we'll kind of measure. I'll keep you posted. I think so that should be the correct approach. But yeah, Isha, if you have any thoughts.
No, well put, Parth. I mean, see, I was actually thinking from the other side that you know, uh, right now the problem is that there is so much of information and there is so much of incomplete information on the web, and the problem happening is that these C-suite or the heads usually grasp that information, and their demand starts generating from the information which they might have stumbled upon, maybe in an article or a post. So one thing what Path you said is of course right. Like if you have right MVPs uh, and if you can show those things and add value, which can add value to C-suite people, it is good. But second, most important thing which I personally feel where the struggles are happening is that, previously everything in the marketing, or even if the head or the leader uh, always used to have ROI and enabled with every aspect which is happening. So even right now, uh, when something is being told or when something is being suggested, ROI is getting calculated, and that ROI is right now becoming very tricky because either they start questioning that whether this is going to be equal to a resource cost, whether this is going to optimize the revenue better, because there are so many calculation which is now going along with it, which is right now becoming more complicated.
Absolutely, I think so. We are thinking in the right direction with the experience that we have in our kitty, because currently AI search is a shiny object, and all the leadership is kind of, they are struck with that SOS, shiny object syndrome, and the history is repeating again, and they are more like, most of the leadership that I know or they I've interacted with in recent times, they still are again looking for vanity metrics. Earlier it was traffic, clicks, impressions. Now it's about the overall visibility with respect to citations and mentions and stuff like that. But if we satisfy their short term ego with those SOS metrics, uh, it's not going to help us for a long term, because at the end of the day, if there's no uh, money in the bank, your job or your say or your skin in the game is not that much uh, important. So yeah, we should create a balance between the vanity metrics and try to paint the picture, and yeah, I think so that should work.
No, other part of it, see earlier, see when you used to pitch, you often faced a question like, बॉस नील पटेल तो ऐसे बोल रहा था. Now, thing is, when you put something across them, they're like, you're saying this, but Claude is showing me something different. How do you manage this conversation now?
Malhar, I would say previously there was only Neil Patel, now there are 100 Neil Patels. So it is becoming very difficult.
I think I've seen people who are like, boss, why should I invest in what you are saying? I can get the entire SEO strategy done by ChatGPT. And do
Yeah, that's one part of people, which I would like. If someone comes to me in that mindset, I usually tell them that go and execute with Chat GPT and see how it works, and then come back and do share your experiences also. I would also won't mind adding and incorporating it to my SOP. So usually I cater that audience in this tone only, because see, it's very simple. If you want to be, see, there's a difference between smart and over smart. If you want to be over smart, please feel free to do it. Uh, because I personally feel it's better. I mean, it's better I deal with people who have healthy thought process, where they say that okay, this is something which we have stumbled upon and we really wanted to explore this. We also don't know how it will go. Uh, those kind of sentences makes more sense rather than someone saying, somebody has done this, there's a new tool which has been launched, someone has created this kind of workflow, uh, there are, because right now every second day there are 10 or 20 new AI tools which are coming. How are you going to how are we going to justify every single tool? How are we going to ensure that because as a marketer also, we also have to understand that there's an expense which is going on whenever we are tapping into an additional tool for our overall performance. So I feel we have to be very smart enough when we are talking with C-suite people, and we have to be very logically right, and at least have our case responses better. Second, see, the second scenario which I usually face more is that where they say that Isha, we understand all this, but my whole problem is that how should I evaluate this whole organic or SEO growth? Because I mean, there's no direct entitled to revenue, there's no direct entitled to those things. So how should I add, like, what should I attribute it to? What should I say that yes, SEO is performing well? What is that matrix which I should evaluate and say that yes, it is performing good? That's my bigger challenge to solve.
Yeah, I I work with a bunch of different clients, and whenever I propose something, this happens mainly with consulting clients when they have their in-house team and in-house SEOs, and they are like, "Hey, you propose this, and ChatGPT or Claude or whatever platform says this, and how do we go about it?" So eventually, I figured out that I kind of tell them that, "Hey, if you want to be kind of uh, fit in your life, like there might be two scenarios. A, you chat GPT or Claude, and you build your nutrition and fitness plan. There is a whole difference between someone getting recommendations from an AI platform and a specialist, and their journey and the muscle mass and the nutrition that they kind of add to their uh, uh, lifestyle, and in the next 12 months there's a stark difference. Similarly, like, you are asking uh, a model which was trained until probably January or February 2026, and it's trained based on a lot of data available on the web. But here I am looking at five different data points. I have 10 years of experience working in this specific category and industry, and based on that, with my experience and my judgment, um, I am kind of building this whole strategy. So there's a whole difference in that. But then I live it up to them, and there have been like the ratio has been 50%. Like the clients who wanted to do on their own, they had gone away like 6 months ago, 9 months ago, a year ago, and they've come back. Like if 10 clients have gone, five have come back with core update, uh, washing out their traffic, which was there earlier. So yeah, what goes around, yeah.
No, fantastic. And if Anirudh wants to jump and share their thought, happy to do it. See, interesting things that you both spoke about is people come around, or you may not want to convince people who don't want to be convinced, but let us assume you still want to go forward into converting them. What could be your initial strategy in terms of, okay, can you have some early adopters who can champion that for you? How feasible or difficult is that? Because to convince the CMO, you still need to, I think, Parth, you alluded to it, right? You run
Yes,
some pilots.
yes. I think so. There's it's about um so obviously when you're working with a client, when you're working in-house, when you're working in an agency, there's always a transactional relation They've hired you for something, you deliver, they pay you money. But there's that another thing where the values and uh, overall growth mindset and the frequency should also match with your client, because um, it's difficult to uh, get anyone trust you for the strategy that you're building. And if you're working with them for the first time, you will have to kind of go ahead and prove something. You should have some case studies. Then and only then it's kind of easier. Otherwise, it's always going to be difficult.
No, fair, but again, so what I also intended to do with that question is, from which team will you find those internal champions? Would you first look at the revenue or the growth side guys and say, okay, let me do a quick pilot with you? Or you'll probably go to a brand guy and say, okay, let me help you get discovered so that your brand is part of the conversation.
That's a good question. I think so. I missed that part. But um, so if you are working with cross-functional, you will have to gauge their nose, uh, how the branding team, the PR team, and the other functions of a particular company are working to kind of achieve the growth that has been planned. So based on that, like if they are cooperative enough, you can have those common metrics shared, and then have um, kind of merged efforts from both the functions and go ahead. But generally, with SEOs, the trend has been not great, because it's all about taking away the credit and attribution from the SEO team, whether we are uh, working closely with the performance marketing team or other teams. This has been a general scenario. So I think so. Rather create a case and show early success, and then let the other functions also kind of attribute to that success, that hey, because of these particular changes and going out and capturing that particular demand, it's not only benefiting the SEO, but it's also benefiting the branding team. So branding team has a way to work, PR team has a way to work. But if there are insights from the SEO department, I think so the impact could be doubled or enhanced in a way.
Fair. Isha, Anirudh, you want to add something?
Yeah, sure. So honestly, first is they always come with an unrealistic expectation when it comes to SEO. Second is uh, showing them the early trend is bit difficult, because by the time, let's say, in a span of first month or in a span of 3 months, we always do a grounding work, like fine tuning technical stuff and all those things, and by that time it is bit difficult to reach a milestone where we can show a significant results specifically with SEO. But if it is about showing results or early trends, then I would definitely say that AI mentions or the impressions nowadays in the age of AI are the two metrics, although those are considered as vanity metrics. But it gets improved if your content is authoritative. Then yes, these are the two things which you can show.
Very well said. Isha?
I personally would agree whatever Path was talking about, and even what Anirudh just mentioned. You know, Malhar, the moment you asked that question, my answer was it depends. Again, the same classic one. Because it depends on like where are you, because as a brand, what is your situation? If you are already an established brand, then the situation is very different. If you are a startup or an MSME, then the situation is very different. But uh, overall, if we talk about generic practices, Anirudh already mentioned this is what uh, I mean, people are already doing it. Second, the reason I say it depends also was because it also depends on how comfortable the other team is. Because previously the only challenge of we as an SEO people was to just convince that the developer and the content team. Now the challenge is far more beyond that. We have to talk with the brand team. We have to talk with the PR team. We have to ensure that every article which is going up is in line with what we really want the brand positioning to be, which becomes another challenge. It also comes up that off page is now no more the way it was supposed to be. So the PR and the off page team has to go in line with what we are talking about. Along with that, apart from developer, there's a UI UX, there's a brand guy who's saying that no, we need this much of space, we need this kind of CTA. Then there's a CRO guy who has their own challenges. So it's becoming that's why the holistic approach is more important, and that is why it is becoming more complex at this point of time. And that was I was saying that it depends, because it depends on the team member who is sitting there, and how comfortable or how open that team member is to execute the things which we are talking about, and how much they are acknowledging the suggestions which we are giving, and basis on that if we can decide on.
But the CMOs are all same. Alright. No, jokes apart. See, the interesting part of this is also, and the reason I asked that question is, say you look at quick wins and say, okay, let me focus on with the brand guys first. But suddenly, you might find yourself getting questioned by the CMO or by the growth team and say, you did all this stuff, but where is conversion? How do you, because that's where this managing the C-suite comes in, because how do you pick up your answers or how do you manage that conversation?
So there are two places here, I would say. uh, I mean, that's a difference which actually a senior guy only told me, almost a owner founder. He noticed. He said that previously the SEO team was only involved when the SEO was being talked about. Now currently I can see my SEO guy everywhere. So that itself was something which is getting acknowledged, which is also getting. I understand it is talking about conversion. So what right now also going to do is there's a article which was being published, I think 2 or 3 days back, in Search Engine Land. I'm just forgetting the name of um, the writer. I'll ping that article. In that, he was actually talking about how in this whole AI world, what are the KPIs which we should talk about? In which one of the most important thing which he said is that as an organic uh, user, apart from the things which we are already talking about, where we're talking about the first touch attribution, we're talking about the last touch attribution, but he said also give credit to in the whole attribution channel. If organic is attributed, try to report that as well, because even if organic has been one touch point, two touch point, it has to be attributed.
No, fair. So again, I have too many questions, right? But yes, Parth, go ahead, please, before I jump
Yeah,
in.
just to make the conversation a little more interesting. Let me play Uno reverse and let me ask you, Malarvai, like you are in marketing senior position. What do you anticipate from SEO team?
That's a nice one. Definitely a reverse Uno. All right. No, so something I try to uh, given the early days, see my and because Sam's so much involved in this community and have some understanding, uh, it helps me in a way to uh, understand why things are going the way they are. But see, at the same point of time, because I know the system the way it is, my trust on that system every day is little challenging, because I know I might do certain things in a certain way right now, but it will give me a short term gain. I could get discovered, I could get, say, probably leads, but I don't know what will happen after a month, and the same strategy will not work. Because I think we have discussed this earlier, right? Each one of us have a certain playbook which is successful at this point of time, and all of us are probably scared that this playbook will stop working tomorrow. That quest for relevance is something which is quite challenging at this point of time. Sorry, this point of time, if you ask me.
And I also wanted to double check this particular trend, which I'm not sure, but I've seen that um, the C-suite marketing leaders who understands marketing, who are responsible for the marketing KPIs and stuff like that. Um, these leaders come from different backgrounds. Some of them have done performance marketing in their early stage of the career. Some of them are exposed to SEO. Some of them are exposed to some other facet of marketing. So I have observed that it's difficult to get buy-ins from someone who has always believed in performance marketing and who has always practiced performance marketing compared to someone who has done SEO. So, what are your thoughts here? Because you know a lot of people, and you are at the same position, and you know other marketing leaders uh, in your circle as well.
No, super question, and I'll probably extend my answer in a way. Sivanas, if I had been always a performance marketer, I would have just uh, betted on generating leads, right? And probably quantity of leads generated, etc. What I have learned over the years is build a strong brand. If your brand is well known, the quantity, or rather the quality of lead, and the cost of the lead will go down drastically. And this has been my experience working with, say, about 5 billion brands to smaller brands of, say, 200, 300 million brands also. The moment I see the quality of leads and cost per lead versus the efforts that have been put in building the brand, it's very easy. So I always say build your brand, invest in building the brand. Your leads will come in, your quality of leads will go up, and your cost per lead will go down.
Thank you. I think so. That helps, and it sets a lot of context and clarity for someone who is reporting to marketing leadership C-suits.
But not all of them are me. No, unfortunately, the challenge is, say, as SEO professionals or as marketing professionals, sometimes we focus on vanity metric. Even for a leader, certain returns or certain numbers are important for them to showcase, right? Say, my end of the day, if I say my website visitors are increased, in some contexts, that is a good number to show. I probably will hide that my bounce rate is 90%. So again, I always say, if you know your numbers right, it depends on you what story you want to build.
Yes, and I also wanted to share one particular uh, pattern that I've observed. I worked with in-house brands, agency side, and worked with multiple different clients in varied industries. One thing I've specifically observed, any brand that you're working on, and there's a whole marketing team where there are different functions and verticals with respect to organic, performance, socials, email, and whatnot. So the brands who kind of started their 0 to 1 journey with other channels, and they have decent enough revenue and runway to kind of invest in SEO as their secondary or tertiary channel. Those are the brands which are kind of easier to work compared to brands which are like probably have just started out and they were just doing uh, sales, and they are just break even, because with SEO there are a lot of changes on the website, off the website, content, a lot of approvals and stuff like that, and it's difficult to show revenue numbers in first 3 months. So a lot of startups and SMEs reach out to me. A lot of D2C brands reached out to me in last couple of years, and I genuinely go ahead and say that, hey, you start with meta ads. You you can contact this particular agency or this particular uh, um, consultant or freelancer, and get your meta ads up and running, because you have a D2C brand. You need to get your revenue, and quite a few of them have come back to me after a year, after 2 years, that hey, now we have enough revenue, we are ready to invest in SEO, and we are ready for the long term game. I think so. This has been my observe. Like I have observed this particular pattern. So yeah, if you have any thoughts.
Oh, sure. Isha, Anirudh, if you want to add.
No, I agree. I mean, this is what even the pattern which Parth just mentioned is what even I I am right now observing, and that's why I'm right now so mindful of when I'm, uh, when I'm filtering my own leads. I try to find those companies which either have, you know, either they are the ones coming from investor background where they really have money for marketing, or they are the ones who have established but they're already getting revenue from different channels, and SEO is becoming their SEO is something which they never thought of. So that's the kind of a space which I am right now, like that's a kind of leads which I am also right now filtering and talking to. Having said that, Malhar, the initial conversation where, um, uh, another thing which another observation which I had is that in the C suite, if we are talking to CMOs, the story is very different, and if we are talking to the founder, the story is very different. So, if you're talking to a C suite person who is a CMO, because he has to convince his, and he has to ensure that his position is staying there, he ensures that uh, like he ensures that we are on toes, and he ensures that things are coming from our side. But if you directly in my journey, I've seen, if I'm directly talking to the founders, not all, but some founders, especially the ones who are of these growth companies, they are very open to experiments. They are very open to a lot of cross channel things. They're ready. They give you a lot of freedom also to fail as well. So that's one thing which I have seen. Another uncomfortable uh, thing which I am constantly listening from a lot of founders in the founder community is that most of the founders are now getting very uncomfortable with performance marketing, because they feel that, like my I am right now, all the founders with whom I'm constantly working with, and when I have my meeting, it's not just SEO, it's performance meeting as well. And they constantly say the same thing, that if tomorrow, if tomorrow social media is not there, like they say, we are very comfortable that why are we so dependent on the social media and search? Like today they perform, we perform, tomorrow they are not performing, we are not performing. So they always want to ensure that in performance they are constantly exploring a lot of other things as well. And that's why even the performance marketing is getting tough day by day. So it's not just we SEO people. I think in SEO people it is more of an evolving nature. In performance, the challenge has very different compared to what SEOs are. And second thing which I've also seen in the CMOs, what Path you just said, that if a CMO is coming from a performance marketing background, he is understanding these challenges. So some CMOs are very intelligent, that they they know this, and they know the compounding effect of organic growth. They don't just talk about SEO, they talk about the complete organic growth. And they talk about and right now, when I'm talking to my clients, I'm also not talking SEO in silos. I usually talk about organic growth holistically. And also I usually tell them that please create like if you want to beat all of these marketing channels, you have to ensure that you create your own media. Please ensure that you have own database which you can nurture as much as possible, because that's how you will be thriving.
A fantastic point.
Yeah,
And
very,
yeah,
very good point. Putapos.
Anirudh, final thoughts if you want to add.
So I have an exceptional case to what Parth mentioned earlier, because I was working with an Australian brand, and since beginning the founder was insisting to acquire results through SEO only. But what we saw was whenever we ran the meta ads, results used to go high for both the channels. But after some time, they stopped the SEO somehow, and they thought this will be more productive for us. So even if you know channel is working, it is a bit difficult for the SEO people to maintain the streak or the results, and that's where something we need to come up with, like the branding factor as mentioned earlier in this talk. So I think more and more brand side needs to be explored, and content quality, that authority thing, and as Isha mentioned, like so to more and more database stuff to support the RAG. Yeah, so I think branding is the one which I feel we need to focus more.